Hi, welcome to NDE TV. I'm Peggy Robinson. Today's guest is Sandra Rose. Hi, Sandra.
Hello, Peggy. How are you?
Good. I met her this past weekend when I was speaking at the Space Coast Ions meeting in Florida.
Yeah.
And so here she is, and she's going to share her near-death experience. And actually, you were dead as a child before this. And
Correct. I
so
want to
let's
talk
hear about
about
that.
this.
If you don't mind, can we start
Yes,
there?
not at all. Well, thank you so much. I'd love to share this glimpse of heaven. Now, some people go to heaven a lot longer than I did, but what I saw was beautiful, and I'd like to tell your audience about it. When in 19, when we all think about life and death, we often think, well, is heaven real? And who will we see in heaven? And will I go to heaven? And will I see who my grandmother in heaven? Do we all go to heaven? Those are all questions that we have, and I had them too. Well, I've had two chances to go. 1952, there was a nationwide polio. Polio was a killer back in those days before the vaccines. And the polio epidemic killed 18,000 people in the year of 1952. I was a 7-year-old little kid, sick, 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 did not know why I was so sick. Um, Mother took me to the emergency room. I could not breathe. Everything was going bad. I remember being pushed down the gurney down the hallway, zip, 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 zip. All of a sudden, they stopped. A doctor laid on top of me, cut my throat open. It was a tracheotomy because I was drowning. Polio paralyzes all of your muscles, every single muscle in your body. And I didn't understand what was going on. I was terrified. That week on a Monday, there were 10 kids, all about my age, from this little town in upstate New York, Glens Falls, New York, up north of Albany on the way to Lake George. And there were 10 of us, and we were all so sick. Well, they put me into this very long cylindrical machine. It's called an iron lung. And all you see is the head protruding, and your body is stuck in there, and your neck is protruding with a strong band around it because the machine takes air pressure and pressures down on your body. So your air comes out, it releases the pressure in your lungs come up and you breathe. Well, it's not a good feeling. You're laying there just like a lump of whatever. I remember not feeling good about it. I remember not liking being wrapped in steamed wool because I was itchy. But on Monday, as I said, there were 10 of us. On Friday, there was one of us, me. I was the only child that was still alive. And they called my mother and said, Mrs. Duell, you need to come up. We're losing Sandy too. You need to come up. So my mother came up and she sat with Dr. Friedman and the nurses. And she didn't tell me much about this. Just before she died, she finally told me the story of it. And you can imagine what a mother feels like when you lose a child. And she said she sat there and they watched me die, and my little pug nose, everything had gone, the color had gone out of my face. And they left mother alone there with me for however long. She doesn't know how long. But after a while, she heard this clunk, and she looked into the portholes of this, and she saw me kicking the metal side. I was fighting. I was back. I wasn't dead, and I was dead. The little pink nose got pink, and I got pink all over. Well, polio is a killer. It did affect my brain quite a bit. So they had to teach me my muscle to walk and talk all over. But after many months of rehab, I did. But it was a miracle. But I always felt guilty. Why did Sandy Duell live and all the other 9 kids die? I'm just an everyday, nice people, but nothing special. Well, then a few years later, uh, in 1979, I was a mother of 3 children, teenagers, and I had had cervical cancer, and I'd had all these biopsies that only make you get nervous about the next one. And I had a tumor that started out the size of a walnut, and it got to be the size of a melon in 4 weeks' time. I thought, whoa, this is not okay. They decided to do a hysterectomy. That was fine. I had my 3 kids. I had the surgery. I thought, whoa, I feel really good. The nurse says, let's get up and walk down the hall. Now, remember, I'm open from my belly button all the way down. So I had a big incision. I was kind of holding onto my belly. And the nurse, I remember she pulled my shoulders back and stand up tall, Sandy. Oh, that hurt. Oh, that hurt so badly.
Hmm.
I remember waddling back to my bed and crawling into my bed. And it was daylight because I could see my roommate was also Sandy. And I could see her over there. And I was just, oh, thank God I'm back in my bed. And I went to sleep. Well, I woke up and it was dark and I could see the flickering television. So Sandy had the television on, but I thought, oh gosh, I wet the bed. I felt as though I had wet the bed. And I go, oh gosh. Well, I wanted to reach over for the call button. Well, back in those days, they put your IV board on a rigid board, so my arm was rigid. The call button was over there, and I couldn't roll over. I thought, oh, this is Sandy. Please call the nurse. I think I've wet myself. Well, she called the nurse and turned on the lights, and all I remember are her screams and my screams. I looked down, and my oh, that's me down there, and this is me up here, but that's me down there. And I remember being in the top of the hospital room, just watching it all. And, they're doing all these different things. And I was just kind of interested in what was going on because I didn't hurt at all. When I was up here, I didn't hurt at all, no pain. And I had been in pain before, no pain. And then I kind of tilted a little bit and I looked up and lo and behold, the ceiling of that hospital room opened up with an aperture that showed me sky, blue sky. Now I know there was a hospital room up there, but that didn't matter. It was blue sky to me. And I thought, so no effort of my own, I just kind of floated up through that opening. And I'm up there, and I'm from Glens Falls. So there's the falls, there's the Hudson River. Oh, hey, my folks live down that way. And there's West Mountain. I was having a grand time looking like from airplane view of my home and everything. And then all of a sudden, my body just started to move very, very quickly. And how do I say how quickly? I know many people, I've talked to NDE people too, and they have a tunnel or they have light. Mine was right through stars. It was like the TV show Star Trek and the Enterprise, when they say going through warp speed. This is a picture I found that, as close as I can find, represents I saw stars and nebula and galaxies, and it was fascinating. I was aware of, I was moving, through no effort of my own, and all of a sudden, I don't know how far I was, I don't know how long it was, I started to slow down. And I go, okay, okay. And ahead of me, I saw a light coming like a sunrise, a light coming up above. And I looked down here, I saw like a city. But this is as close as I could find to finding what that looked like to me when I got close to heaven. And as I got closer, I saw a city, a big wall, beautiful city that glistened. And I thought, oh, that has to be heaven. This is beautiful. And I got closer and closer, and I looked down and I saw this garden outside of this walled city, and there was somebody down there. Now we always wonder, don't we? Who am I going to see when I go to heaven? Now, I always thought it would be my brother Billy. He was 17 years old and he was killed in a train accident in 1966. And on occasion, I felt him touch me. He's a happy spirit type of person, and I can sense him. He's always kind of funny. Billy's fun. He likes to ride in the car when you're okay, Bill, we're going for a ride. Anyway, well, I looked down. It wasn't Bill. And as I got closer, I was in the garden it was my grandfather, Jim Dool. Now, I never would have guessed Grandpa Dool at that. I would have thought my mom or my dad or my brother. Well, now that I look back on it, of course it's Grandpa. Well, I come from a large family too. My father was one of 13 children, so I had a lot of cousins my own age, right? And Grandpa, I'm sure, was overwhelmed by all these little kids running around on the farm, but we chased the kittens and the cows and everything. Well, his most prized possession in the world were his Belgian draft horses, because that is how he made a living. I am the only grandkid that was ever allowed to take Major and Dan down to the pond to get watered. And those are his, and after I think about it, nobody else ever did. And I was talking to an aunt many years later, and I love parades. And on Memorial Day, I'd go for a parade and get ice cream. And my father never did that. And I never got to touch Major. Okay, I just stopped that with my aunt. Okay. Grandpa gave me, when I saw my grandfather at his house when he came into the city to live, and I call it in the Falls, I would sit with him and he would talk to me like I was the only person in the world at that moment. And I found him as an interesting man. And I just enjoyed, and my grandma, she was the best cook in the world. She could bake beans and wonderful rolls. And I helped her iron. I liked to do it. It was fun. Well, I wanted to talk to him more, but he said, Sandy, we've got to go. We've got to go in. Now, okay, let me tell you what heaven looked like from outside. The wall is more of a containing wall than a one to keep people out. It was beautiful. And if you look at some of the reliefs in early Grecian art, the walls of things, beautiful sandstone colored walls, but there were relief in it. It was beautiful. It wasn't just plain, it was beautiful. Now, the gate was not a gate. It was not a doorway. It was an archway, and there was no gate on it. So Grandpa said, come on, you have to come with me. Well, I thought, this is really exciting. I wanted to go inside because this is a beautiful garden. I walked into this courtyard. I was like, oh, my goodness. There are no words in the English language that will describe the fragrance of those flowers, the colors of those flowers, the butterflies, the tinkling of the water fountains throughout this beautiful garden. I could hear music, but I didn't hear people. And it was, again, beautiful walled area, beautiful gardens. And as I looked, there was a long colonnade, long, column, like forever, going into other parts of the city. So I could tell there was a city beyond that next wall. And I wanted to stay there. I wanted to touch everything. So I had some kind of a body because I wanted to touch. I could smell, I could see. And I was getting, conversations with my grandfather. I just wanted to touch everything. It was a feeling of love, no pain, happy, like I can't believe, happy. And it was just amazing. And I never felt no fear. I thought, I don't know, I thought heaven was going to be, but I think I thought it was going to be a lot worse, more hard to get into or whatever. I was afraid. This is a beautiful place. And Sandra, I didn't want to go, but I wanted to touch those flowers and I wanted to touch everything. So he said, okay, San, you have to come with me now. Okay, well, I figured he would take me into another garden. Well, he did take me into another courtyard. However, he came to a doorway, again, a beautiful arched doorway with columns. He said, now you have to go in alone. Ooh, I don't want to do that. I want to stay with Grandpa. I don't know what's in there, but I don't want to leave my grandpa. I felt really good with him. I felt safe, and I felt safe anyway, but I felt safe with Grandpa. Well, he said, Sandy, I can't go with you. He said, okay, go in. I go, oh. So I remember kind of all this intrepidation of going in, and I looked at this big, beautiful, bright room, and in the middle of the room was an entity and an ornate desk, and the person glowed, had an essence of glowing about it. And I heard the voice, Sandra, don't be afraid. Well, hearing that voice and don't be afraid, I wasn't afraid anymore. So I walked up and I thought, oh, this is, hi, hello. Oh dear. But I think God, in his own way to help us understand him, will take on an appearance that is not threatening to us. I think God is far bigger than I can imagine him to be. What I saw him there was this very loving, kind, gentle older man. But to be God and do all the things he does, he's got to be more than that. But I think he did that to make me feel safe. Well, he said, Sandra, it's okay. Don't be afraid. Sandra, I gave you a second life. Remember, I died when I had polio and he let me come back. And he goes, what value have you done with that life? What have I done from the time I was 7 to the time I was 30 something? What did I do with my, well, I was a mom. I was a Sunday school teacher. I tried to be a good wife, but it was not a good marriage. And I thought, what a value have I done? Well, other than my kids, I mean, my kids are great kids, but I know he was looking for something more. Have you made a difference in the lives of anybody? I go, no. I thought, oh no, I haven't. I had my 3 kids, my twins, Eric and Katrina, and Bobby is 4 years younger. They were back home. And I thought I was a single parent divorced from their dad. And I truly felt that I was a better parent, single parent for them than their dad would. I thought I could be a better influence on them than their dad might be. I said, dear God, please, I would love to stay in heaven, But I really think that my children truly need me. I don't want to leave them in what happened in our marriage. I don't want them to get like that. I don't want them to be that afraid. I don't want them to be in that way. And please, but I promise, God, you let me go back. I will make a difference and I will help people. I will make a difference. And zip, I was back in my body. I was hurting. I did recover in time. Now, this is interesting because I have in my religion and my belief all the years that when you sin, you don't go to heaven. If you commit a sin, you can't go to heaven. Well, I never expected to go to heaven because I'd like to tell you something that 2 years previous to that, I had fallen in love with an older man. I'd come out of an unloving marriage, and he was fun. He was romantic, all the things I wanted in a man. And we were going to be married on Valentine's Day. And this was Christmas Eve, 1977. And he came down to the house with presents in his hand. And he said, I have a surprise for you. Well, I was looking for that diamond ring because you're going to be married in February. I was hoping for a ring of some kind, you know? And I said, I have a surprise for you too. I had a surprise that I thought he'd be happy. His two children were adopted, and I was 3 months pregnant with his child. My family had already disowned me anyway for liking this man who was older. They didn't want me, had nothing to do with me anymore. So I had no family anyway. And I loved this man. I truly did. And I loved this baby. I thought that we could make it work. Well, we had our presents. Everything seemed fine. And he said, well, we need to talk now. So I went into the other room with him. He said, Sandy, I really like you. Oh, that's nice. I really like you, but I don't think I can be a father of teenagers again. Now, my kids are good teenagers. They weren't troubled teenagers at all. They were really good, but I didn't realize he was seeing somebody else. No, I think we have to stop seeing each other right now. Imagine what I felt. He left, Mr. Charm. Merry Christmas. I went back to my kids. I got them all. I looked at their gifts. I sent them off to bed. Everything was fine. I went to my room. I grabbed washcloths because I was crying so hard. I couldn't stop the tears. I was crying so bad. Think of every negative word you can about yourself. I felt dirty. I felt stupid. I felt ugly. I felt betrayed. I felt unloved. I felt ashamed. Here I am with my 3 kids. I worked so hard to try to give them a home as a single mom. Now I have a baby. How on earth can I take care of them, work, and have a baby, especially with no father involved and no family involved? What on earth am I going to do? And I love my kids. I really did. But I was so bereft that I made the biggest mistake of my life. I took enough pills to kill me, and I should have died. There's no question I should have died. The next morning, I woke up. I wasn't dead, but I miscarried that baby Christmas morning. And then talk about more shame. And I had to fight to get my life back together. And I said, you're at the bottom of the pit. There's no place else to go. You've got to come up. What are you going to do? And God let me come back. I had done that, and he forgave me long before I did. It took me a long while. But after all of these different things, I thought, well, okay. I made a promise. So I started reading books. I read Maxie Dunham's little Dancing at Your Funeral. I sometimes hold people as they pass, and I said, we're going to sing and dance in heaven. I did hospice. It was something I started. What do you do? I did hospice. I had a Hollywood actor. He was wonderful. I didn't recognize him at first because he was elderly, but we sang and danced together. But no, that's not right. That's not right. God wants you to do something more. Well, I got to get my life together. So I started Bible study and some retreats. I like retreats because I can get quiet and listen because I need to listen. And I'm an A personality, so I don't really calm down like I should, and I don't listen. Well, it was Easter weekend that year, and my church was going to go to a retreat. And what's unusual was 20 people from the same church were going to a retreat being led by another group, not by us. And our pastor and his wife were participants on the same level as I was. I thought, well, this is interesting because at this point now in my life, it was, who is God? What was the title? Is he real? And what does he mean to you? This is right now what I need to do. I'm trying to focus. Who is God? Is he real to me? What am I going to do to make a difference in my life to keep that promise? I made that promise. So, okay. Normally I drive a car because I like to be in charge, but no, I let my girlfriend Barbara drive. I was hoping to get my kids off. I forgot to take any rain clothes for me, not realizing it was going to be raining. So we drove up into the Adirondack Mountains, and it's raining and there's clouds all hanging in the trees, but that's okay. We went in, we had a nice social dinner, it was fun. Then we went into the training room, and this is how we're going to do this retreat. These are the questions that you want to take. You're going to answer them. You're going to write in this journal. Here's your journal. Here's your pens. Oh, by the way, this is a silent retreat. No talking between husbands, wives, nobody until 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. Piece of cake. I mind myself a lot anyway. I don't mind. The other people all went out with their rain gear on, and there's this big, beautiful fireplace, and I plunked myself down in a chair, and I started to go through the questions. And I don't know what came over me, but all I wanted to do was run. When I get afraid, I don't fight, I run. And there I am sitting in the chair, looking at the questions. My hands are going like this. I was just didn't know what to do. I wanted to go home, but I had no car, and my house is 50 miles away. What am I going to do? I didn't want to embarrass myself. My body was just saying, no, run, run, run. So I remember getting up with my hands like this, and I went running out through the double doors, walk up through the double doors, out into the rain, because it was raining. And the middle of the parking lot is a big trees. And I went like this, and I was out there, and I'm standing like, oh, dear God, why am I here? Why am I here? And I opened my eyes. I wasn't getting rained on. I look up. I'm completely enshrouded in soft white light. I was not getting rained on. I felt warm. I felt loved. I felt like a big, hot, warm, fluffy blanket wrapped around me. I could see my friends in the peripheral in their rain gear right over here. I remember looking up, and it went on forever. And I thought, dear God, why am I here? And I heard the voice. It just said, Sandra, this is exactly where you're supposed to be. This is the beginning. This is where you're supposed to be. And I kind of held on to that feeling because I had not felt that loved in a long time. It felt so good. And I went back into the building. I didn't get wet either. And I went back in, crawled into my bunk, and went to sleep. Well, the next morning, 8 o'clock, can you imagine? Sandy, what happened? Well, I thought, maybe I dreamt this. It seemed so unreal that just, why would Sandy Duell at that time be in this beautiful enrapturing of white light and God's blessing? I'm just a regular person. And I must have dreamt it. It can't be real, right? So I got out, and I'm talking to my friends. Sandy, tell me, what did you see? Well, I figured, who's going to tell me the greatest truth? Clayton, my pastor, right? Because he is the one to say, he's right on, right? Clayton is right with it. And he said, Sandy, you were in a white light, and you glowed, and you were beautiful. So I said, just like, Shirley, what did you see? The same, Sam, Ruth, they all saw the white light. They all saw me. They saw me glowing. They saw me not getting rained on. I said, did you hear anything? No one heard anything but me. But now Clayton doesn't usually give up his pulpit to a Methodist church in South Glens Falls, but he said, Sandy, would you please do Easter Sunday service at our church tomorrow morning? I've never spoken, but I only talked about the NDEs, and I talked about that. It was such a validation that is so incredible. I see that Clayton said, Sandra, all my life I've tried to get proof, and right there it is. It's you have it. It's real. Yes, it is. So I go on, and I went into some study groups, and kept feeling better and getting rid of the anger. I had to get rid of the anger I had inside. I knew I had to help God, but I had to get rid of the anger and the grief I had and the shame about that baby and everything. So I went to a counseling group for a while, and it takes a strong person because I tend to not want to let my feelings up. I'll tend to lock them away. And Judd Brines was an excellent psychiatrist. And one day we're sitting there, and the 10 of us have been in a group probably for 3 months or so. And he goes, I want you each to imagine yourself as an inanimate object. Now I thought, why is an inanimate? Isn't that something like something you touch? Like, it's like a cup or it's like a table. No. So the other one started to talk. Oh, one was a lion. One was a tiger. One was a this. There were all these aggressive animals. I must be really nuts because I don't feel this way at all. And I said, dear God, please, please, what am I? Who am I? What am I? And I put my head up and I said, I am a valuable, beautiful Tiffany lamp. I'm broken into 1,000 little pieces of color. I can never be put back together the same, but someday I will be whole and beautiful and valuable again. And I said, Sandy, you're finally on the right road. So as I started to do this, over the couple of years, I've been talking about my NDEs to people and getting braver, but not going into all the rest of the story. Well, 2 years ago, I had an accident that often kills people. I'm 6 foot tall. As you know, I'm a tall girl. And I fell backwards in our front foyer, and it's a tile foyer with a door with a heavy glass panel in the center of it. And whatever caused me to pass out, I don't know. But as I kind of came to, I was already starting to fall backwards, straight back like a tree. Now, I'd had an laminectomy on my lower spine just the September before. I thought, oh my gosh, I'm going to fall on my back. I remember taking my hands and quickly shoving them behind me, trying to break the fall. My head hit, clunk, clunk, hit the door as I was sliding down the door and was on my hands. And all I could do was scream. Well, Bob came running. He was able to get me off the door, roll me over, and my hands started to pop up like hot dogs. I had fractured both wrists, 2 vertebrae, and entered my neck. Well, all this, why I'm telling you this is for all these different years, I've been trying to guess what God wants me to do. I'm not listening. He will talk to us if we listen and ask him. He will talk to us. And you have to understand, yes, his voice, it's a different voice. Fortunately for me, it's the same voice, so I recognize the voice. But so I'm sitting there like this. Bob is taking me like a 2-year-old. He was feeding me, showering me down, washing my hair, everything. Because I could do nothing. And as I lay there like this, praying, dear God, what is it? I should have died. There's no question. I've had a couple other near-death experiences. I should have died. I'm still here. There's something yet I haven't done. Help me know what I haven't done. Please help me know. And then all of a sudden I said to Bob, get a tablet and start to write, because I hear the words like a story in my head and I couldn't write anything. You have to get well and you need to heal your body, but you need to tell the whole story, all of your story, not just the NDEs, not just the suicide. You've got to talk about the depression and how you have handled all of these overwhelming things and still come out loving me and loving other people. You've got to do this. But I didn't want to. I want people to think.
Did you think crap?
I didn't want to do that. I want them to think I was a nice lady. I wasn't a bad
Right.
lady. I was a sinful girl. I was a bad girl. God knows me. He made me, right. I'm sure he laughs a lot. But anyway, he has a sense of humor. Well, anyway, he said, you promised to make a difference. I said, yes, I did. So we are never too old to learn, because I, at that time, was 76 2 years ago. I'm 78 years old now, and I'm still learning. And my life, as you know, has taken this wild 360 turn. I thought I would be talking in little church groups of 20 people, 30 people, that type of thing. He is zipping me with things that are unbelievable. I had suffered a stroke just before this time, and I was afraid to talk. And that was my excuse for not talking, not going out. Well, my voice has come back because I pray and God has given me back my voice. Well, anyway, I realized I was living, but I wasn't alive. I was existing. Peggy, I was just existing. I wasn't alive at all. I'm just going through the motions of doing what I should be doing. COVID was a good excuse to kind of hide out because that's what I did. Well, you have to do this. And as I was doing my first conversation for Cyans, I love them. They're the sweetest group in Cocoa. And they said, you please do your story. So I had kind of outlined, it was my first talk about everything, I thought, right? as I'm going along, Katrina, my daughter, is doing the slideshow, right? And all of a sudden I go off outline. It's like, oh, what's mom doing? But she knows better than to ask me because she knows how this whole thing comes at me and like zips and dips. And there's a tablet next to me in my bed and there's a tablet in my purse. I'll get these little messages like, well, we all have broken hearts. And I had an incredibly broken heart. Carl broke my heart. When my mom and dad, who I loved dearly, disowned me, the good daughter who tried to be good all of her life, was disowned. My husband, who did not love me and who told me I was unlovable, ugly, undesirable, nobody will ever want you, you're no good, you're nothing. Mark, who I love very much, but that marriage was destroyed because of my bipolar, was so activated by his socio-psychopathic daughter that just made our life impossible. And I lost Mark. We stayed friends, but that marriage was destroyed because of that. And that bipolar depression is real. And I wanted to learn to get over that. So yes, I got over that. I call it the purple dragon. I had to give it a name. It's not on my back anymore. And I had a good psychiatrist that helped me do that. He made me write. And when I write, I remember things. And it's important to know. But I had a broken heart. So how did you fix your heart, Sandy? So when I talk to my groups, when I talk to them in person, I bring a little basket of hearts. The girls like this shiny pink one. And the guys tend to go for the not quite so flashy silver ones. But anyway, and then when they're talking, I'm talking to them, I said, take your heart and put it in your hand. And then I said, I want you to imagine your heart as a broken, let me get you in the right angle here. See that heart? It's a fret. Oh, I've got so much. Oh, I'm sorry, I've got too much light on it. Is it catching it at all?
Yeah, you got
So
it.
just picture your heart as a, oh, I'm sorry, it's really a beautiful picture, but I'm not catching it for you. Picture your heart is all these little, almost like a advent calendar boxy thing. Pull out those little heart pieces. So put shiny little brass button doorknobs on each of these parts of your heart. Now, we can never deal with all of the pain in our heart, and all of us have pain at one time. It's overwhelming. So you take take me the little one, a little up here, and go, okay, Aunt Bessie said I was a jerk or something, and take that out and deal with it. It's a little thing, and let it go, and then put it in something good, and close the door. As you get braver, open more doors. I had to open the door where I let go of that anger at Carl. Carl came back in my life. He was a stalker, and I had to get help with that.
Wow.
And yes, he was a stalker. And finally, one day, he caught me alone, and that was not a good thing. And I finally he got me in the city hall. I was assistant mayor in Glens Falls. And the chief came in and said, Sandy, what's the matter with you? You're always smart. That man went there. He made him leave the building, and he's not allowed on city property. Well, I was walking up to the grocery store one day, and he came up behind me on the street. I should never have gotten alone, but I didn't think he was still doing this, right? Oh, I love you. I miss you so much. I want you back in my life. Oh, what are you doing? Get away from me. So I sent him finally, because I never told him. Remember that Christmas, 1977, when you told me that you had a surprise for me? I had one for you too, but I never told you. Carl, I was pregnant, 3 months pregnant with our baby. Did you tell me? It's because you didn't want me. And because of you and because of me, an innocent baby died, and I will never forgive you for that. Get away from me. Don't ever come near me again, ever. And I did see him on the peripheral of my eye. I went on to medicine at St. Peter's, and I was walking with my doctor friend up to the cafeteria, and I could see this person smiling, and it was Carl. I looked this way, and I held on my friend's arm, and he's dead, he's dead, he's dead. But you have to get rid of these things. You can't have them in cycles. They'll eat your heart up. They'll just eat you alive. So it's like, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? And then you go to another little heart and open it up, clean it out, throw away the caca, the garbage, let it go. Find something nice. Okay, what was there nice about Aunt Bessie? Maybe she was kind to you once, whatever. Put something good in there instead of something bad. And little by little by little, you find out that your heart is healed, or healed a lot more than it was ever before. It really is.
I don't know
And
why our brains do that. It seems I don't think I'm alone in this, that we obsess over the bad memories over and over and over. It's like, where's the good ones?
mhm,
I don't remember any good ones. I was too busy obsessing over all this bad crap.
so take them out, throw them away, and bring in the good ones, and bring in the sunlight, and then love yourself. So when I hand the hearts out to people, I'll say, now I want you to listen to me. When you had this heart in your hand, not what I said. What were you feeling when you had the hand in your heart? Remember what you felt. Now take it home. Don't put it in your pocket and don't put it in your purse. Hang it on the refrigerator with the kids' artwork and look at it every day and heal your broken heart. And the number, I still have my heart, Sandy. I still have my heart. But we've all been given this gift of life, and it's what we decide to do with it. Yes, death is not the end of life; it's the beginning of a new one. But don't waste this one, and try to make the best of this one. And that's what I'm trying to do. So I take my little colored pieces of glass by talking to lovely people like you and Jeff Marr and other people, and try to share with them something that I've learned from this experience. One thing, definitely for sure, God is real. And he's a kind God. He's kind and he's loving and he's forgiving.
He already knows.
Yes.
We're not keeping secrets here.
No. And heaven is beautiful. And I wish I had stayed longer. I wish I could have gone into the other part of the city. Other people have been there for days, but maybe next time, hopefully I'll stay. But anyway, I wish I had seen more. But I can only tell you what I saw. And it was beautiful and it was lovely. And any questions? I'm open to questions from your audience. I'm open to questions from you. Happy to talk to anyone.
Well, I don't have that set up where people would ask questions, but you'll see them in the comments after this comes out. So feel free to answer.
Yeah, and feel free to put my telephone number on there. It's a brave thing to do. I know,
How
but I
about your
do it.
email?
My
Put your
email is Sandra. What? I never write myself a message.
Sandra.rose.inspires
Inspires. That's the
at
one.
gmail.com.
Correct. Yeah, that's the one. And I will respond to that. Yes, I will respond to
I'll
that.
put that in your description too.
Okay. And in the comments, I'll read the comments and I will respond to the comments.
Now, I noticed too that it said 22 years ago you had gastric bypass and you lost
I did.
167 pounds.
Shall I stand up and show my body? No. I was morbidly obese. It runs in my family, and I was a chubby little. I was on a diet at 9 months old. I was a fat little baby, a fat little kid. I had polio, I was kind of thin, but I was a fat little kid. And my mother died. I go, oh my God, that's me in a coffin in a couple of years, because the doctor had said to me, Stan, you have less than 2 years to live. I had some serious medical problems. Plus, I was over 300 pounds. I was 367 pounds. And I'm 6 foot tall, and right now I'm 205. So that's how much weight. But I've kept it off. Now, gastric bypass is not something you do without thinking about it, because it is a serious thing, and people do have some really negative problems sometimes with it. But I had no problems with it. It was very successful. There's some things I can't eat. I can't eat spicy foods. I can't eat ice cream, which is good because ice cream I like is too rich, that type of thing, or spicy foods. But I can find other foods that keep me healthy. And then I take supplements, so that for over 20 years, I kept the weight off. And every day, I'm saving up my calories for tomorrow. So you have a piece of pumpkin pie. Every day I make a decision. Do you want to eat that or not? Because I want to live. I have a back that's had serious surgeries to it. I have arthritis. I have scoliosis. I have stenosis. It doesn't need more weight. I have the same number of vertebrae as a person who's 5 foot tall, and I'm 6 foot tall. And having severe arthritis, living in Florida, I don't hurt. So that's another positive thing. And I just want to take care of me. But yeah, I'm proud. I'm proud. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll get ready and get this sent out to you, and should be ready
Okay.
by morning.
Thank you. It's been a joy meeting you. It truly
You
has
too.
been.
Good luck and happy holiday.
Happy holidays to you. Thanks. Bye.